Hello and welcome to this tutorial on how to set up grading customization on the app. Let's use the same account used for the Teacher Pro app tutorial, the music school. This account had two classes, a guitar class and a piano class, and each of them had 2 students per class. So once you have set up the account and your classes, grading can be found here under each class. All right. So first, let's see what options we have regarding grading in the settings. So on the bottom toolbar, tap Settings. All right, and then let's scroll down under the Track Class Conduct to the Grading section here. All right, so the first option here is whether to choose whether or not your classes would like to use the grading feature. It can be turned off, and then it won't show up under each class right here. So you can turn that off. So the next option here is to decide what type of percent statistics calculation you would like to use. So let me use an example. So you can decide here whether to calculate by the cumulative points divided by max points or the average percentage for each grading item. So for example, let's say you had graded 2 homework items for a student. One was 5 out of 5 and the other was 8 out of 10. The first option here, the cumulative points divided by max points, would calculate 13 divided by 15, so 13 cumulative points divided by the 15 max points, and that would give the student a percentage of 86.7%. However, the second option here would calculate the 100% plus the 80% and average those or divide them by 2, and that would give a 90%. So these two options here allow for a different calculation of grading. So you can choose whichever fits best for your school and your type of grading. So to learn more about how grading works, you can find a helpful article in the TrackCC blog. But for here, let's just keep the average of percentages for each daily graded item option. All right, so once you've made those changes, make sure to tap Done at the top. All right, so next I will show you how to customize your grading items or labels. So let's go into the guitar class grading. So first, make sure you are in the grading view found at the bottom toolbar here on the left. So tap that, and then tap Customize, which is on the center of the bottom toolbar. And here you can customize the grading items and add up to 26 total. So now I will show you how to edit these grading items to fit your school the best. You can also at the bottom here, add or delete items or copy these items from another class if you have already customized them in another class. But this is how you add an item. So at the bottom, tap Add Item. So that will add a new one and you can edit the text there. But we will actually just need 4. So we'll remove this one here. All right. So now let's just edit the 4 default items here to fit our music school. So daily homework, let's just call it homework for simplicity. And next one, let's make it class work. And then class exam, let's make that the music test. And term project, let's change that to participation. All right, and then tap Done at the top. Perfect, and now our labels have been customized. So now let's look at the other options on the bottom toolbar. So the first option here is to switch between the student view and the grading view. So what the difference between these is that the grading view shows the performance of the class per item. So these percentages, this 85 for homework and 99 for participation for Wednesday, 29th of July, are the percentages for the entire class. And of course, not every day there will be classwork and not every day there will be a music test. So that is why there's nothing recorded for those for this specific date. But the student view then shows the percentage per student. So what the difference between these views is, one shows per student, the student view shows per student, and the grading view shows per item for the entire class. So that is how you show that. And in the student view, you can always change the type of grading item for each class. Of course, for this day, we only had per homework and participation recorded, but for a day where everything was recorded, they would show up in this selection here. And you can change the date up here. And as you can see, for the tutorial, I have filled out some data for the past couple of days. So when there is a little dot, that means that grading has been recorded for that day, and you can change the day here if you would like. So you can see the grading per each day here as well. All right, so let's go back to the grading view. So let's look through these options here. So we have, of course, the student view and the grading view. We have the option to clear all data for today's date, and we have the option to customize, which we just went over. So the next option here is the statistics. So let's go into that. So in the statistics tab, we also have a grading view and a student view. So right now we are in the grading view, and what this shows is that per grading item, what is the average percentage of the entire class for those specific grading items. And then at the bottom here, if we go to student view, we see those overall grades per student. So we can, of course, change the overall grade here to the specific items if we want to see how much, for example, how well a student is doing for homework. And we can change all dates to a period, which I will discuss later. So at the bottom of both the student view and the grading view, you can change the percentages to show points instead. So show points, show percents. All right, and in the grading view, it is here as well. So show points, show percents. All right, so next we will look at the next option here on the bottom, the grading allocation. So this is quite important. The grading allocation allows you to configure different weights for different grading items. So this is how you would set them. I have already set them up here earlier, but this is the location where you would set them up. So here, homework is 10% of the overall grade, classwork would be 20%, music test 40%, and participation 30%. So these must be equal to 100%. And this allocation only applies to the overall grade, which is calculated based on the percent calculation option, which we chose in the settings. All right, let's tap done once we're done with that. So that is how you look at statistics. There are a couple more options at the bottom here, including periods, and if you tap more, there's export as a CSV file, share, print, and the original settings that we started off this tutorial with. But next I will talk about periods, but to do that, the same button can be found on the original grading page if you tap more there. So this is the same place. So this is where you can edit periods. So statistics periods are ways to track your students if you would like to track them between two specific dates. So for example, I've added an end of summer period here from the 17th to the 23rd of August. So this, I would track my students' performance between those two dates, and it's just an easy way to define that period that you would like, for example, statistics for. And a way that schools can use this is if they would like to track their students' improvement, they can create a period or a statistics period at the beginning of the year and one at the end of the year, and then compare those statistics with each other from those two distinct periods. But note that periods are common for all functions, attendance, behavior, and grading, but you can define any number of periods to track your students' performance, and they can also overlap. You can also use periods, for example, in the Statistic tab we just covered to show statistics for a certain set of dates by tapping the All Dates option at the top of your screen. So if you tap Done here, I will show you in the Statistics tab, the All Dates option is up here and we can see the periods. So if we want just to see just the statistics for the end of summer period, we can tap that. All right, let's tap Cancel and go back. So next, let's look at the other options on the grading view. So tap More again, And the next options here are to export as a CSV file and the grading symbols. So the export as a CSV file is a common feature in all of TrackCC's options, and you can always, in addition to the app data and the website data, you can always get your TrackCC data into a file, so you can have it that way as well. So the next option here is the grading symbols. So let's tap that. Here you can set different symbols for your grading. For example, you can set an A to F scale, which is common in the US, or a 1 to 5 scale, for example. So let's set up an A to F example, but the method is the same for any scale that you would like to set for your classes. So let's tap Add Symbol at the bottom. And then let's start with A, and the minimum percentage is 90. And then add symbol again. B, minimum percentage 80. And then add symbol C, minimum percentage 70. And D, minimum percentage 60. And the last one, let's add an F, and the minimum percentage there is 0. So the options at the top here, you can decide whether these symbols are for all classes or for just this class. And the other option here is to define a set of grading symbols per grading item, or the grades tab here, or you can set those for overall grades. So for example, if you would like to have an A to F scale with no A minus or A plus options for each grading item, but overall grades would include these plus or minus, like A plus, A minus for each letter, then you can do that by making the grading symbols different from grades versus overall grades. So if you do not set up these grades and overall grades as different here, they will automatically remain the same. All right, so once we've set up that, tap Done at the top. Now that we've set up our grading symbols and grading allocations, let's see how our sample students have performed recently. So let's navigate to the Statistics tab at the bottom. All right, so now let's go to the student view and see how our students are doing. So let's look at Lauren, for example. So let's look at her homework first. So she's earned an A for the homework. So now that we've set up those grading symbols, we can see the letter grade also at the bottom. Here, show points, show percents, and show grades. So she has earned an A for homework. And let's look at classwork. She has earned an A for classwork as well. And for the music test, she has earned a C. And finally, for participation, she has earned an A here. So we can tap through those quite easily. So now we can look at her overall grade. So given the emphasis on the music tests in the grading allocation, we set that as 40% of the overall grade. Lauren gets an overall grade of B thus far for the class. So now let's go back to the original grading view. So here we go. So we've gone through all of the options at the bottom here. So now let's look at student view options. So the options here are quite similar to the grading view. There's an option to clear all for this date. If you, for example, made a mistake, you can select your students and you have the same statistics tab here as the grading view has. Then if you tap more, then you have your option to sort students, for example, alphabetically or backwards alphabetically. You have the same periods tab. You also have the option to export as a CSV file here, and you can show grades, show percents, and show points here if you tap on that option. Okay, so then you also have the grading symbols option here as well. And those were all the options for the student view, and that is how you set up grading. If you have any questions, please contact support@trackcc.org. Thank you.